Greetings, folks, and welcome once again to one of the Great Scots virtual volunteer segments. And we are excited about today's segment because I must tell you, if someone had told the second grade me who got hooked on the Adam West series that one day I would be interviewing this guy, it would just be amazing. This is a hero or vigilante, depending on who you talk to, whose story has been written on the big screen more times than we can count. About 8 different actors have played him, and he is the one and only Dark Knight, the Cape Crusader, Batman himself, coming us from an undisclosed location in Gotham City. Batman, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Scott. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you just said my stage name, Great Scott. Well, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy crime-fighting schedule here today. Just out of curiosity, how is the coronavirus in Gotham City? Have you guys been hit hard?
We've been hit pretty hard, but you know what? We're all doing well. We're all observing the rules of social distancing.
Yeah. Well, you're lucky.
Engagement,
You're lucky. You got a secret lair. I thought I heard once that you lived in a cave. You got your own cave, so you don't have to worry about those kind of things. Plus,
exactly.
I'm sure with all the technological advances you have in your bat cave, you have some way to keep yourself safe. Whereas your friend Kal-El, aka Superman, he's immune to everything except kryptonite. He doesn't have to worry about these kind of things. Although we had him on here, and he says he has been encouraging social distancing as well. So, I want to thank you for being here. You like my shirt?
I love it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anyway, I also have a mug here that I didn't show you before we started here.
Very cool.
Got your symbol right there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this so that you can see the table just a little better here, okay? I was trying to think about what magic trick to do with Batman here, and I had this idea. Batman, I don't know if you know this, but there's a rumor that part of the reason why you have so many fancy toys that are expensive is that you're very good friends with a certain Gotham millionaire named Bruce Wayne. Do you know Bruce?
Yes, I do. I know him quite well.
I had a feeling you do. Anyway, so I thought that I would do something here that is called the emergency cash trick. Now, as you can see, I have $1 here. Normally, when you do this trick with a person in person, you borrow $1 from them. Unfortunately, it would really be a magic trick if you could hand me $1 through the camera, which we cannot do. So you'll just have to take my word for the fact that this dollar bill is real. Now, the funny thing is, there's billions of dollars in the world, probably more than that, probably trillions, probably gazillions. I don't even think that's a number. But anyway, point being is, you can use the serial number to make sure one that is unique, but I'm sure that you would have trouble seeing the serial number on here. Normally, what I have people do when I borrow a bill from them, Batman, is I will have them use this Sharpie to write something on the bill. So to prove that this is as good as me actually getting a bill from Batman to borrow, Batman, we have not prearranged this. You had no idea what was coming, correct?
Exactly.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you, what do you want me to write on this bill? It can be a word, it can be a small drawing, just something that we couldn't have planned because I'm asking you spur of the moment right now.
I draw a bat logo.
Okay, I'll do my best bat logo here. I'm not the best artist, unfortunately, but I will do what I can here. Okay. All right. There I go. I'm going to show that to you there. Do you see it? I drew it right there. Can you see it? It's kind of dark, but you can see it right there. I'll show it to the camera that is recording this segment as well. Here we are. See, there's my sorry excuse for a bat logo there on the dollar bill. All right. Now, the way this works is you take the mug and you turn it upside down. You fold, but in case this trick is called the emergency cash, and the reason is because I have this envelope here, which, as you can see, says emergency cash on it. And the reason I have this emergency cash is if the dollar bill does not reappear. I've done a trick where I've made it disappear before and then made it reappear, but sometimes it doesn't come back. The envelope is to reimburse, usually the volunteer, but in this case me, in case I can't get the bill back. Okay? So the emergency cash will be here ready to go in case I can't get the bill back. Once again, same bill, haven't pulled a switch during that. I'm going to simply fold it up here, and to make sure it stays folded, I'm going to put this paper clip. Now the paper clip, this is no accident, is black and yellow. I know those are colors you're very partial to in some of your previous incarnations. All right. So what we basically do is we take the bill, I put it in my hand, I take this wand, and I wave over it. Watch very carefully now.
And it's gone.
It is gone. But where did it go? Notice I put the cup down. What you do is you tap on the cup like so, and there is, oh dear, Always when you want to be a hit, when you have one of your childhood superheroes on as your volunteer, does the trick not work? Yeah, as you can see there, Batman, there is unfortunately no bill underneath that cup right there. So unfortunately, we have to go to the emergency cash. Here is how the emergency cash works. What you do is, you open up the envelope like this, and inside of the envelope is another envelope. See? Okay. You open up that envelope, and inside of this envelope is another envelope. I think you can all kind of see where this is going. You open up this envelope, and inside of that envelope is yet another envelope. But here's where it gets really interesting. If you open up this envelope and reach inside of it, you have a dollar bill with a paper clip on it, and it's a paper clip that looks very much like the paper clip that I showed you that I put on the bill that I made disappear after that envelope was already on the table. But if you open up that dollar bill, Batman, what's on that dollar bill right there?
It's like the bat symbol.
The one that I drew?
Absolutely.
It's the one that I drew. I'll show the camera here that as well. See, exact same one that I drew. So that right there is the emergency cash. I thought you'd get a kick out of that. Thank you for participating in that, Batman. Now,
very, very well done.
Thank you very much.
Scott.
Thank you. Well, thank you for being a virtual volunteer. Now, one thing that I always do with these virtual volunteer segments is I always like to talk to my guests a little bit after we've done the trick, and how often does one have their favorite superhero on the line here? There's something that I was curious to ask you, Batman. I mentioned this earlier. I was trying to figure out exactly how many actors have played you, whether it be television. I mean, if you count voice actors, the list could go on forever. I believe Kevin Conroy, who voiced you in Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond, and the original Batman series, I think he even though he never donned a suit, I think he holds the record for playing you the longest. I think he's been doing your voice for like over 2 decades, something like that.
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have a favorite actor? Let's say live action. Do you have a favorite live action actor who has portrayed you on screen?
I'd say it's a toss up between Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck. Mm-hmm. But as a kid, I always admired Adam West.
Okay. Yeah, he definitely is the standout as far as tone-wise. Most of the other actors, a lot of the actors that have played him since Michael Keaton, I can remember when the Michael Keaton movie came out, and everybody was upset at how dark it was because they were comparing it to the Adam West show. Now people are looking at that as corny when they compare it to the more recent ones, like the ones with Christian Bale and the ones with Ben Affleck. Yeah. It's kind of interesting how our definition of what is corny changes over years. You know what I mean? Because I can remember there was a big deal. I was about 11 when the Michael Keaton movie first came out, and I wasn't sure my parents were going to let me see it because it was PG-13, and I can remember going to it thinking that as my first PG-13 movie, was there something that was really going to scare me here, and I ended up walking away loving the film. So, but it was my very first. The ratings board was strictly enforced in the Great Scott household, so I didn't see. The original Michael Keaton Batman movie was the very first PG-13 movie I ever saw, believe it or not. So everything prior to that was always strictly adhering to the rating system. So anyway, let me see. What else did I wanted to ask you just real quickly here? Any thoughts on? I heard that the what's his name, Robert Patterson, is who's set to play you next in The Batman. I don't know how much. Now, that production got shut down because of this crisis. So have you heard anything about if they're going to resume, or do they not keep you in the loop on stuff like that?
I'm not really sure. They just want to make sure that everything is safe before they resume the production of the film. But this is just everything in life, too. Everything has got to be on hold just to make sure that people's safeties and people's lives are not at risk for this virus. Mm-hmm.
So this might be putting you on the spot here. One time I had an actor on here and I asked him what his favorite movie was and he couldn't give me an answer. Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, and your son Damien. Do you have a favorite Robin?
Yeah, my favorite Robin happens to be Dick Grayson. He was the original, so I'm very impressed of how he matured and grew into Nightwing.
Mm-hmm. Is he? You guys still keep in touch?
Yeah, we still keep in touch. He actually does his own work out in Bloodhaven. That's right next to Gotham, so he's not too far.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what city he was in. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, he's in Bloodhaven.
Yeah. It's also, one of these days I would like to try to get a map to find out where all these, like, do you have any idea how far Metropolis is from Gotham?
Yeah, Metropolis is basically over the harbor, and it's, it's quite a distance. It's not too far for Superman because he gets fly really fast.
Really kind of doesn't matter because he's faster than a speeding bullet, so he can get to you whenever you guys have a world's. Do you like the fact that you and him have been called world's finest? Do you think that's a correct thing to call it to you?
You know what? It's another that people call us that,
Mm-hmm.
And I do enjoy working with Superman from time to time when he needs me. So, but world's finest is a title that is honored to be called that.
Indeed. It's funny that you and I should be talking today. Did you hear the news about the CW Batwoman series?
Yes.
The role is going to be recast. Ruby Rose has decided she does not want to play Kate Kane anymore, or for whatever reason. They're keeping very mum on why the change is happening. I don't know if you have any inside scoop or whatever.
Well, you know what? I think that she was perfectly cast as the role, but the writing was not as good as it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason that she decided to leave the series, I think she left with grace and dignity, and she should be proud of what she's done.
It'll be interesting next season. All of the CW Arrowverse shows have been pushed back to January premieres, so we have a long time before we're going to see any of them again. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see the show come back with, I assume, all the same cast, with the exception of her. I can't remember the last time. Other roles have been recast before, but I can't remember the last time that a lead was recast and all the rest of the cast stayed the same. I mean, an example, the role of Jimmy Olsen was recast after the first season of Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman, which was actually for an interesting reason. They thought the guy that they had for the first season and Dean Cain looked too much alike. So they actually they recast the role. I forget who played Jimmy Olsen the rest of the time. But you see when it happens to a supporting person, it doesn't really take that much getting used to. But when I don't know how many shows have had to recast their central character before. So this is it. To be honest with you, I'm hoping it's something that will make the show survive. I'm hoping the show will survive it. I hope they find someone good enough that they'll accept them as the new Kate Kane, and it won't make the show start to lose ratings. So, but anyway, what can you do? What can you do? Well, Batman, I want to thank you for your time here. Was there anything else you wanted to... I'm sorry. There was another question I wanted to ask you just real quickly. One of the things that I know about you, which you are very gracious to do, is you have made appearances at a lot of Comic-Cons here in the Boston area when they were going on. What is your... any thoughts as to when we might... I heard something about... Superman was on here and he was talking about a upcoming virtual Comic-Con. Have you heard about this?
Yes, the virtual con. I just did a virtual kids con provided by Emily Druid. She did an amazing job putting that together, and a lot of kids enjoyed that. And I did some children's books for reading for her, and that virtual con that she had. And then there's another one coming up at the end of the month called WebCon.
Okay, how do virtual Comic-Cons work? Do you go on Zoom like we're talking right now, or...?
I think so. I think that's how they plan on doing it. And you can have multiple rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have you do a panel about cosplays and charities and hospital visits. Stuff that I enjoy doing. So, plus inspiring one another to believe in each other and help each other out through the dark times.
Indeed. Indeed. Speaking of which, I just want to give a little shameless plug here. Me as a magician, you as yourself, we both work for a company called Sugar Plum Parties that actually does drive-by parties where we entertain kids and respect social distance at the same time. So I would encourage anybody to check them out, because we would love to come to your house if your kid is unfortunately having a birthday while all of these stay-at-home advisories or lockdowns or whatever are going on. I must tell you, I am noticing that, I know it's going to take a long time before we feel normal again, but I am noticing, I don't feel the same way we did back in March when this all started. I'm noticing, because
Right.
I saw in the news that maybe we're just getting used to the setup, I don't know. But I saw in the news that all 50 states have relaxed some, like there are some states that have parts open and parts closed, like California and New York still have parts on lockdown, but have parts that are slowly starting to reopen. And they announced when we here in Massachusetts, when the governor rolled out his opening plan, and then Connecticut did yesterday, there's not a single state in the U.S. now that is not at least partially open. So that's a step in the right direction. And to be honest with you, I'm all for moving slowly with reopening so that we don't have to do this again. Because I think I speak for everybody watching when they say we can't. When I say we cannot do this again, if it means we have to take it slow,
We don't
that's
need
great.
a relapse.
What'd you say?
I said we definitely don't need a relapse.
That is
So
absolutely
we just
true.
need to be careful, do what we're told, do what we have to do, and respect each other, and just do the right thing. You know?
Yeah, you know there were a couple states. I think this happened with both Georgia and Texas. The day after they reopened, they saw a spike in tests. Now, obviously, the two can't be related because it takes you 14 days to get symptoms. But the one interesting thing is that I was sure that the day, because I'm in such a hot spot here in Massachusetts, I honestly thought that the day after Charlie Baker announced his opening, the same thing would happen here, just out of irony. To my surprise, our positive count actually went down 200 people the day after he announced the reopening. So it's the little things like that that make you optimistic in this climate. So you got to take you got to take this. You got to take the small victories in this current climate. Like
That's right.
The small victories, like having Batman as your virtual guest. So Batman, I want to thank you. I want to thank you very much for joining us here today. Thank you for setting time out of whatever's going on in Gotham City with the corona. And I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. This is the Great Scott. Have a great day.
Thank you, Great Scott.